Are you just living for the sake of living? Drifting through life without clarity, without meaning, without direction? Or do you feel a calling and find yourself seeking something deeper? The mere fact that you clicked on this video is already a clear sign. You did not arrive here by accident. There is never any wasted energy in the universe. If this message found its way to you, it's because you are a chosen one, and you are not merely existing, trapped inside the matrix. Today you'll be guided through the 3 phases of the spiritual awakening of a chosen one, revealed through the lens of alchemy, the ancient occult science of soul transmutation. These phases are part of what the alchemists called the Great Work. Centuries of manuscripts have catalogued with almost mathematical precision the sacred journey of inner transformation, where each phase prepares you for the next. And the final phase presented in this video is the most powerful and transformative of all. With this content, you'll be able to identify where you are on your journey as a chosen one, and more importantly, what not to do so you don't get lost along the way, and instead keep evolving through the 3 phases of spiritual awakening. Most people live in total unconsciousness and a deep indifference, immersed in ego, in the rush of life, in the demands of the matrix. They're focused solely on surviving, achieving, and competing. In practical terms, getting a house, wealth, an apartment. Day after day, they never stop to look within. There is no spiritual journey here. This is the stage that comes before the awakening even begins. In alchemy, this state is like lead. It represents everything that is dense, heavy, rigid, confused, and limited. A condition of spiritual numbness, complete identification with the mind, and denial of one's own power. The person identifies only with what is seen, the body, the titles, the possessions. But the chosen one begins to feel that something is out of place. They feel a discomfort that the world cannot explain. If you feel you're no longer trapped in indifference and are seeking an evolutionary purpose, comment now. I have already begun my journey of spiritual awakening. Let us now enter the first phase of our journey. The Phase 1, Solutio and Calcinesio, the collapse of identity. This is the phase where everything begins to fall apart. Not the world around you, but everything you believed yourself to be. The old identity, built upon expectations, traumas, labels, and patterns of the matrix, starts to crumble. The chosen one feels a deep discomfort, a sense that nothing makes sense anymore. The soul is pushed inward. What once felt sufficient now becomes burdensome. And so, the process of the great work begins. Calcinatio and solutio begin to work silently. Calcinatio presents itself as pain. These are the losses, ruptures, and frustrations that burn the ego and reveal its fragility. Solutio, on the other hand, manifests through experiences of love and joy, everything that brings satisfaction and well-being. Solutio dissolves mental control and the narrow vision of life and the world. They are opposing forces working as allies. One burns and the other dissolves, but both serve a single purpose: to open the path for the search for something that cannot be found outside, but within, the search for the true self. In essence, one force makes you want to pull away and move, to leave your comfort zone, while the other awakens the desire to draw closer and seek more. Pain and pleasure, retreat and pursuit, dual forces that set you in motion to begin your spiritual awakening. This moment can be confusing. You experience extremes, and it is precisely this instability that brings you to the threshold of awakening. The more you resist the process, the more intense the action of both forces becomes. The soul wants to remember but the ego resists. You feel yourself between two worlds, one that no longer belongs to you, and another you cannot yet fully inhabit. It is the crossing of the invisible bridge between the old self and the new being. Externally, life begins to shift. The things that once made sense no longer matter. An intense desire to learn about spirituality, energy, and purpose arises. You isolate yourself, question everything, and feel like you're going insane. But you are, in truth, awakening. Internally, there is a deep hunger for truth. The heart starts to speak louder. Your vibrational patterns change, and with that, you begin to access new levels of consciousness you never imagined existed. But be careful. This phase carries traps that many fail to notice. Traps that can derail your path. If you cling to the pain, you may fall into victimhood, using suffering as justification to stop moving. Likewise, if you cling too tightly to the beauty of the Salutio moments, you may enter a bubble of spiritual illusion, believing it's possible to live in a fairy tale. This drags you back into your comfort zone and condemns you to remain spiritually immature. Spiritual awakening requires maturity. Neither pain is punishment, nor joy is paradise. Both are tools of inner alchemy. Use them as propulsion, not as prison. Only then can the true process continue. Naturally, as Phase 1 unfolds, the Chosen One begins to enter the Phase 2, Coagulatio, the unveiling of the divine spark. Reaching this point means that something within you has survived the dark night of the soul. This is the phase where the divine spark, once hidden beneath layers of conditioning, begins to shine with greater clarity. The Chosen One no longer sees themselves as a victim of circumstances. They realize there is a living force within, a sacred presence that guides, moves, and transforms them. It's not about believing in something outside, but recognizing what has always existed within. The experiences of pain and love, of descent and expansion, brought questions and searching, expanding your self-knowledge. Now, this needs to materialize as the foundation of a new being. In other words, the practical application of this newly discovered identity. This is the moment of coagulatio, the crystallization of internal truths into daily practice. Spirituality ceases to be a concept and becomes action. New beliefs generate new habits, new behaviors take shape, new thoughts become audible through new words and speech. Everything becomes a reflection of what has been assimilated. The Chosen One begins to live in coherence. They don't just know, they vibrate what they know. Coagulatio is the moment when the soul touches the ground of life. It is grounding. It is structure. It is spiritual solidity. But this grounding does not happen all at once. It comes in cycles, each one deeper than the last. The Chosen One must go through several coagulatio cycles. Learning followed by practical application. Learning followed by practical application. The Chosen One finds themselves adjusting relationships, choices, and environments to match their new frequency. They learn to say no without guilt or fear of judgment. They refuse to do anything that might, even indirectly or subtly, harm another. And they understand that being at peace is not about escaping the world, but about knowing what and who is worth connecting with. Externally, the change is visible. A new lifestyle, healthier eating, more natural environments, detachment from toxic bonds, simplicity in routine, lightness in speech, constantly rising motivation, and an emotional balance that already inspires those around them. Internally, energetic sensitivity increases, intuition sharpens, and the sense of mission intensifies. There is a resilient inner joy, the Chosen One begins to remember why they are here. Not as a ready-made answer, but as a constant feeling of belonging and direction. They are returning home, not to a physical place, but to a state of consciousness. But this phase also carries subtle risks. One of them is believing you've already arrived and becoming stagnant, the classic illusion of the summit already reached. Another is turning your new spiritual identity into a trophy to feed the ego, creating a pseudo-enlightened persona. Then there's the Chosen One who gets lost in endless study, the professional student, accumulating knowledge without applying any of it. And there's also the one who becomes content with the early signs of awakening and begins living only for personal well-being, forgetting that service and continuous challenge are part of the path. These deviations may seem harmless, but they deeply delay the journey of spiritual awakening. And now, we enter something truly transcendental, a phase that very few throughout human history have ever reached. It is the, Phase 3, Conjunctio, the inner union. This is the rarest and most sacred phase of the entire spiritual journey of a Chosen One. Here it's no longer about seeking, learning, or rebuilding. It is the moment of full integration. The awakened being unites within themselves everything that once seemed divided: reason and emotion, spirituality and matter, light and shadow. Each of these aspects can be identified as an element of masculine or feminine energy. And here, they encounter their opposite, not to compete but to complement. Nothing is separated anymore. The being is whole. It is here that the great work of alchemy is completed. That is, spiritual awakening becomes a fact, not just a desire. The so-called conjunctio is the sacred marriage between the yin and yang aspects of the soul. This union gives rise to what is known as the androgynous being, a symbol of spiritual completeness. Vital energy flows without resistance. The vibrational field of the Chosen One rises to such a level that the universe responds instantly to what they emanate. Desires no longer arise from the ego, but from the essence. That's why they manifest easily, effortlessly, and with purpose. At this stage, the Chosen One doesn't just recognize their divine spark. They merge with it. There is no longer a search for answers. They are the answer. The human self and the higher self merge into something new. All is one. They stop running from challenges and begin facing them with wisdom. They act with purpose. They feel with depth. They radiate balance. And wherever they go, they inspire transformation. Their existence becomes service. Their presence, a field that awakens other fields. They are the bridge between the visible and the invisible. Externally, life enters into a direct and constant flow with the all. Manifestations come easily and align with astonishing speed. Prosperity and growth are abundant in every sense. Decisions are made with surgical precision, as their analytical capacities now exceed those of any other being on Earth. I'm speaking of having the veils between spiritual and physical dimensions completely lifted, being able to perceive and interpret all hidden variables. The illuminated androgynous being accesses subtle information with ease, possessing psychic powers in a state of complete excellence. They manifest synchronicities and opportunities perfectly aligned with their purpose and will, acting with spiritual mastery. Their abundance is no accident. It is the result of the frequency they sustain. Internally, after the spiritual awakening, there is a state of profound peace and constant gratitude. A superhuman joy is felt, something that reaches the biological threshold of the being's ability to process it. Fears disappear entirely. Suffering of any kind no longer exists. There is an absolute sense of mission and purpose, a visceral drive and conviction to help and to overcome. The chosen one feels a set of beliefs and emotions so powerful that they know they can accomplish anything, not out of arrogance, but because they now radiate unconditional love for themselves and for everything around them. They access universal wisdom with clarity. Past, present, and future lie open before them. At this point, they reach their internal cosmic pattern, the zenith. That is why every subscriber of this channel identifies as an iZenither, a declaration of being a seeker of their zenith, the highest point of their consciousness. Spiritual awakening for a chosen one doesn't happen in a single moment. It is revealed in each daily decision, in each conscious choice, in every step taken toward truth. To integrate the 3 phases of the great alchemical work is to become the very instrument of transformation. It's to look at life not as something that happens to you, but as something that happens from you. Being a chosen one is to embrace the role of alchemist of your own existence. You are not here merely to understand the world. You are here to elevate it with your presence. Your light is not a detail. It is part of the plan. Your journey inspires others to begin their own. And this channel exists for exactly that, to be a beacon for those who feel the calling, but no longer wish to walk this path alone. If this content touched your essence, comment now. I am the alchemist of my destiny. And remember, you are not here to find a purpose. You are the purpose experiencing itself. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope to see you in the next video. A life of infinite possibilities awaits you.